Why we stay in our comfort zone even when we're unhappy. So, have you ever wanted something so bad, but you didn't really know how to go get it? You get comfortable with your life, and even though you're dreaming of that life, you still don't make change. You want to leave, and I'm just you want to leave the job, start the business, you want to set healthier boundaries and take better care of yourself. So why don't we? I mean, we stay in that comfort zone. Today I want to explain why it happens. It has less to do with lack of motivation, which is what most people actually want to tackle first. uh, it really does it has a lot to do with how our mind works. So if this is the first time you're looking at or watching my show, even if it's in recording, my name is Ali, and welcome to Coffee and Clarity. So every weekday, I am spending a few minutes exploring one idea that helps us reconnect with ourselves and become more intentional in the way we live and work and lead. So welcome. It's really easy to think that is wrong with us, that we don't have enough discipline, that we don't want badly enough. Uh, but we really don't believe there's a real reason. We actually start identifying ourselves as being lazy, when in reality, laziness is just a mask that you've put on yourself and put on your identity. There are different ways that people explain how the mind works. In psychology, you'll hear different theories. If you've studied psychology in the past, you've learned all the different theories behind how our mind works. But the model that helped me understand it best comes from Dr. Thurman Fleet, as he's as a physician who created something called the stick person. He was so interested about how the mind works that he created the stick person to make it easy and simple for people to understand how it truly works. This is something that Bob Proctor taught in his Thinking into Results program. And this is the one that I go to and made sense for me. So, according to this model, the mind has two parts. So, just think of a circle and divide that circle into two parts. On the top part is our conscious mind. Our conscious mind is the one that all this thinking is coming, all this, you have the sensory factors. Just think of like little antennas that is in the top part of your mind, and you have all the sensory factors that come into play for you to start understanding how the world around you works. So all these ideas start coming to your conscious mind. And in this conscious mind, at the top level, this is when our thinking begins. We start saying, I want something different. I want a different career. I want to feel more fulfilled. But the subconscious mind, which is the bottom part, is the one that connects with the rest of our body. This is the one that leads action. Most people think that your conscious mind thinks and that your body takes action, but in reality, if you think about it, if you have had wanted change for a long time, you already would have taken action, right? Well, here's how it really happens. Your subconscious mind is the one that leads, is the one that will is connected to the way that you go about your day, the way that you take action. So it influences our beliefs. This is where our habits live. This is where our emotional patterns are. And this is where our self image lies. You see, we've developed this idea of ourselves. We've told ourselves a story for the longest time of who we are, what we can do, what we're capable of. Even if you're not really consciously thinking this is my, like, even if consciously you think this is my self image and this is what I do, in reality the subconscious mind is the one that really has all this programming and also these stories about who you are. So this is where everything really changed for me. And studying in person, studying different authors in personal development or teachers or educators about um, how all this works, this idea of the concept, the subconscious mind, is what needs to change. Just think about all the thoughts that you're thinking on a daily basis, right? About who you are, what you're capable of, etc. That is what the ideas that you dwell upon the most are those that will go within that subconscious mind. So when you want to change, you have to start telling yourself a different story, but in a way that you dwell upon that story. So when you're thinking, okay, these are the results you want to create, and you've heard me before in the past, is you have to see your future self and know what that version of yourself would be, what kinds of actions that person is taking, but you have to dwell upon that person, become that person. In thinking to results, when we go through the program, the self-image module is the most important one of all, because that's when change creates. And one of the concepts that we teach is becoming, you just think of an actor, right? When an actor is studying for a part, he has or she has to become that person. She has or he has to start getting into the role of who that person is. And it's the same thing for you. When you want to create results, you have to start thinking of the habits that you must take in order for you to get there. This is the way that you will start connecting the pieces of how change really begins. The reason why you've stayed in the same spot and you have not created the different results, even if you're unhappy, you stay in that comfort zone, is because your self-image is comfortable there. The self-image, your subconscious is trying to protect you from something that from change, from being uncomfortable. So this is why when you start something, a new project, you are really good for 5 days, and then all of a sudden something triggers you to get back to your old habits, because being uncomfortable is not easy. It's not easy for people. Having to do something different is it feels uncomfortable. So that's why we stay where we are. And it's not because you're not capable. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're unmotivated. It's because you have to start thinking of yourself as a different person. You've been telling yourself a story of who you are. And that's why you've stayed there. You've stayed stuck because your subconscious mind, the only thing that it wants to do is take you back to what it's known. So one of the things I've, in my own life and I've shared in the past, change, like when and this is an example when I just went on my journey in the fitness road. I really wanted to look like one of those fitness competitors, those fitness models, but for the longest time I was comfortable with where I was. I would start eating healthy, but I told myself a story that's just, it's genetics. Only certain people have those bodies. I didn't think that I would ever get there because I kept telling myself a story of who I was and what I was. But then something inside of me back in 2015 And yes, it's been a long time. Actually, it was 2014 because it was 1 year before I had my baby. I decided that I wanted this change. So I came across a team called Bombshell, and I decided that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to step on stage and I'm going to look like those fitness competitors. But it was so subconscious, because if you ask me back then what am I doing, I just went through the flow. I had accountability. Every week I was emailing my coach pictures of where I was, and I knew that if like she looked at my pictures and I wasn't doing the work, she would call me out. But I just get myself into the habit of cooking my meals every Sunday, organizing them, getting myself ready for the week. I wouldn't deviate from my meal plan, even when I had meetings, and they would bring lunch, or when it was a lunch meeting, they would bring lunch. I would actually stick to my meal plan. But because I wanted so bad and identify myself as that person that's already on stage, and it just smoothly and easily, I just went through the motions. It was not hard. I never it never felt hard, that journey. So this is what must happen with your goals. You have to want it so bad that you already see yourself as that person. And the only way for you to make that change is to create that repetition in your mind. Remind yourself who that person is. And you already have that within you. It's just a matter of you lighting it up like a match. You just light it up, and all of a sudden you start creating habits that match that person, that version of you that's already there. So maybe the question that you have to have is isn't why can't I change? It's more of what do I currently believe about myself that's making change so difficult? Today I want you to notice one sentence you say about yourself. And maybe it's I'm not creative, I'm lazy, I'm not motivated. And then ask yourself, is this who I really am? Or is just simply a story that you've repeated yourself enough to believe? Real change is not about setting a new goal. It begins with having a new self-image. And because as I said before, when you start seeing yourself differently, your decisions will begin to change as well. So thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. I'll see you tomorrow at 9:45 a.m. Eastern for another Coffee and Clarity. And please, if you're watching this recording, give me your thoughts below. If you have any questions, please leave them, because obviously I want these lives or recordings to be helpful for you. So please let me know, how can I help you, and how can we start reconnecting yourself with yourself, if that makes sense. Bye.